Welcome, my friends, to this community showdown featuring the Empire, who shall be led by Skull Knight and Volkmar the Grim atop his mighty Pimp Chariot. And today, he's going to be facing off against the Greenskins, who shall be led by Slade X and GRIMGOR Ironhide. So man, truly a Warhammer 1 showdown, taking me back to the days of old. Now, as far as this Empire build goes, it's going to be the unbreakable Volkswagen front line, which actually isn't bad against Greenskins. I feel like it's going to be pretty decent, right? The Flagellants are unbreakable, they hold their place, and they can do some decent damage against like Savage Orcs, Goblins, Orc Boys, Orc Biggins, things like that. The only thing they'll struggle with is Black Orcs, of course, because they don't really have the best AP values, but they're unbreakable, and to deal with the heavier threats, you have Volkmar the Grim basically just riding amongst the front line, so going back and forth over the top of these troops. He has bonus for his infantry, not the best AP values himself, but he has banishment effects. He has the Soulfire, although it doesn't look like he brought banishment. I always thought he had AP on this thing. I totally forgot he didn't, but nonetheless, 245 with 80 of it being armor piercing, so it's certainly enough to do some decent damage. And it causes terror as well, so it's really tough for the Greenskins to deal with. So the front line is going to be Sigmar's Sons, 2 groups of Flagellants. He does also have some Outriders with grenade launchers. A very nice one-off unit. Oftentimes, like just bringing one of these guys, if you keep them relatively safe, keep them near your front line, and just bomb down chaff units like Goblins, and even like anything that has like less than like 70 or 80 armor will take quite a bit of damage from these Outriders with grenade launchers. In the secondary line, we have some reserves of Spears. So the front line isn't really going to break that quickly, but if it does falter or they're able to push through it, you can pull up the Spears, and honestly, they'll hold for relatively long against most Greenskin chaff. Let's see what the Greenskins have as far as infantry goes. Oh, it's going to be the Troll Toll. Oh man, GRIMGOR and Trolls. So in total, it looks like there's going to be 4 Trolls. And I think they just have a couple chevrons. So yeah, this is going to be a real slobber knocker, as they say. In the back, you have some handguns. So handguns may be a countermeasure against Black Orcs, against any sort of monsters, or big threats from the Greenskins like Azag. So in total, he has 3 of those. I don't know if he has his silver bullets. It doesn't look like it, but a couple spears in the back, more flagellants here. So a lot of sustainability as it pertains to, well, I don't know if sustainability is the right word to describe flagellants because they don't last too long, but they do hold, which is a bit of a rarity as it pertains to the Empire. So he does have a couple of those, a Light Wizard as well. And if you're going to be going for triple handguns, Light Wizards are very strong, right? If your opponent slips up once, it's much like Praevannoth Rema, though it's not instant. You can trap them in place and you can really punish their characters, their lords, Black Orcs, things like that. On the flanks, we have a couple Empire Knights as well, and you don't really need elite Cav to contest the Greenskin Cav game, although it looks like the Greenskins, the mighty Slade X, coming in with Forest Goblin Spider Riders just for days. So he has 4 of those guys, plus he Morgrim's Mage Marauders, which is certainly enough to overwhelm the Empire Cav presence, which is basically just these Empire Knights, so very excited to see how this goes. So that's it for the Empire Army. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, the Greenskins are truly proper WoW for sure. So we got Night Goblins, Squig Hoppers on this side, very good against infantry, and yeah, I mean, they can function well against things like Empire Knights. They have good AP values, they have poison, and Empire Knights really don't have good stats. If you take a look here at the Empire Knights, I think they're like 28-30 with a couple chevrons, and these guys aren't much worse. Plus they have poison, which is nice, and they're also immune to psychology, so Volkmar won't buckle them that easily. On the other side, the Greenskins do also have 4 groups of Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Oh, a nice Brain Buster going down, but it looks like it might have been partially dodged. It was hard to tell. Maybe he kind of cast it in the wrong spot or it was dodged. I didn't really get to check there, but normally if you hit the center mass of something with Brain Buster, it can do a lot of damage. So for the Greenskin main core, it's going to be some Goblins. It looks like an Orc Shaman in the back with Brain Buster, a bunch of Trolls. So the Troll Toll perhaps will be paid, GRIMGOR Ironhide, and then it looks like a Goblin Shaman as well. So 2 spells in total. Goblin Shaman with a Vindictive Glare and then Brain Buster from the Orc Shaman. Very, very strong stuff. So let's see if the Empire can endure this WoW, which is going to get a full surround. So very Greenskin versus Empire, yeah, very accurate in terms of thematics, I would say. Getting that big old surround, the Empire just has to hold against overwhelming numbers, and we'll see how they do. So here you can see that the Squig Hoppers are thinking about getting a push here, but the Empire is going to be sending out some Spearmen and some guns to kind of screen those guys out, and it's going to be tough. Spearmen are pretty good against Squig Hoppers, who are large and, of course, aren't very durable themselves. 19 melee defense and only 25 armor. Spears, who are braced especially, should be able to do some pretty good work there. So let's have a sip of tea here. Oh, that's some delicious tea. That's really hot. It was a bad choice. So right here, the Spearmen do overextend a little bit. Now, the Greenskins, if they wanted to, could potentially get like a full surround on these guys and maybe break them. But the Handgunners, in the meantime, opening up a huge salvo of fire here on the Morgrim's Mage Marauders, doing a lot of damage. But Slade X looking to try and get the tip in there. So these Forest Goblin Spider Riders trying to rush into the Handgunner line, and they do make some decent contact. So maybe now would be a pretty good time to advance with the Trolls and things like that. And if you can kind of sweep across, so he's getting a little bit caught up in the Spears, which is unfortunate. But if he could like sweep through and just like disrupt these Gunners even for a moment, that would probably be worth it. So anyways, here, Forest Goblin Spider Riders just taking charges against whatever they can, just trying to disrupt that back line and pulling back almost immediately. In the front here, you can see Trolls are going to be attacking, unfortunately, into Spears, although they are going to make some contact with the Grenade Launchers, who've gotten 22 kills. So they must have blasted some Goblins, but yeah, this is what I'm talking about right here. The Empire handgun line is going to do so much damage to this Orc Shaman. And here comes Volkmar the Grim on the Pimp Chariot. He's going to be making his way to the front line. Should easily be able to tear out those Goblins off. And as far as the Empire backline goes, they're in good shape. I mean, some of the harassing Forest Goblin Spider Riders have kind of gotten in there, but for the most part, they should be intercepted. So overcasted net right there. Nice cast there by the Empire. Is going to be catching those trolls, but here comes the Squig Rush. So the Squigs will be good against Flagellants, will be pretty good against handgunners, obviously, if they can catch them. And now the Squigs are going to be surging through, but the Empire has really good layers of reserves. They pull in the spears to block up the charging Squigs. So though they were able to bully their way through the Tattersouls and just kind of get in there, now they're mucked up by spears. There's also an elite caster there. And it seems like the Empire's backline is relatively secure. Granted, the Greenskins have a lot of pressuring angles, so, you know, at any point could get in there. So Volkmar the Grim, just being an absolute bully. And Volkmar does also have a bonus for his infantry. So if he were to attack this Orc Shaman, for example, which he's doing, he will get that bonus, which is quite nice. But Grimgor is coming in, and Grimgor versus Volkmar the Grim, the battle of the ages. I wonder who would actually win. I think if they just stood still and fought, I think Grimgor might actually win that. But with cycle charging, I think that Volkmar would probably win it. Hard to say. Grand Shield of Faith going down as well, which is going to be doing some nice bombardments. That does a ton of damage to those Night Goblins, just shrekking those guys. And you can see the Greenskins are going to be responding in kind with the Night Goblin Shaman Vindictive Glare. There's a lot of trolls here, so I mean, if Volkmar the Grim stays here too long and the trolls are able to get a full surround or something like that, it could be really bad for him. But what the trolls need to do at this point is actually move past Volkmar and try and get us around, but there's spears coming in. There are some Empire Knights, and trolls have terrible leadership, so they could easily be rear charged and potentially broken, but it looks like they're trying to goon out this Night Goblin Shaman. In the distance here, a couple of Flagellants. So 3 of them are fighting this Orc Shaman. True heroes of Sigmar here. It looks like there's now 2. They might actually be able to break him. He only has 8 leadership. So Volkmar the Grim, a little bit surrounded. You can see his leadership is unbreakable, of course, but as far as his HP goes, he's at 2,300. Grand Shield of Faith certainly saving him. He took a lot of damage in this engagement, and oh man, this is tough though. If you look at the situation, the Empire backline is so secure. He's done a really good job keeping the Spearmen back here. Granted, some of these Squigs might be able to get in here, but this like just concave. So for anyone who's played like old RTS games like StarCraft or Warcraft 3, it's always like pretty strong when you can get like that U-shaped firing line. So when your opponent like charges in, they get just collapsed in the middle, they get focused down, and man, these trolls are just paying the toll themselves. So here comes some more trolls, going to be jumping in, attacking these handgunners, and this is a nice compromise that could get the Greenskins back in the game potentially, if they're able to get these handgunners in some way, shape, or form and really pin them down or at least push them off the battlefield. Either one. It's going to be, probably one of the few ways they can get back, because the Greenskins are currently behind on the bounce of power. However, they have a lot of trolls. 10 models here, it looks like only 4 here, so it wouldn't get too much value there. So they could get a lot of healing, but I think if the Empire player's on his toes here, he chases off these trolls, sends something mobile to chase off these trolls, he's going to be in a very commanding position. So now the Empire handgunners are being attacked here by some Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, but it looks like the Brave Knights of the Empire, the Knightly Order, are going to be charging in here, and I don't know. I actually don't know the lore in the Knightly Orders. Like, are basic Empire Knights considered to be like of a certain Knightly Order? Is there one for them? So now, the grenade launchers, are we still with those guys? Do we see them around here? Anyway, I didn't really get a chance to focus on them. I really like to do that sometimes, but alas, I failed you guys. So Volkmar the Grim here, going to be fighting Grimgor, which is a bit of a dangerous gambit here, as Volkmar is very low. You can see these handgunners are going to be getting compromised here, so now the Greenskins might have a chance to kind of squeak their way back in the game. Really, they just need to shut down all the handgunners. The handgunners have just been devastating their trolls and their other threats, and you guys can see the bounce of power does ebb back towards the middle, as trolls are basically coming back all over the map. We have some right here, we have some over here. And I would imagine we have some on this side of the map as well. No, it doesn't look like it. Here they are right here. But the Light Wizard should be able to chase those guys off. So Volkmar the Grim, he needs to run. He needs to get mobile. He needs to be running from Grimgor here. And as much of a meme as Grimgor is, if he's actually able to sit in melee combat with you, he has 70 melee attack, charge bonus of 70, and then also does have a weapon strength of 500. So he can hit really, really hard. But the meme is that he's very slow, and that typically with like micro on point, he's not really going to be able to catch you. So the handgunner line looks like they're going to be reforming ranks here. So 1, 2, and 3. Some spears back here to protect and some spears back here. But the Greenskins are surging back in. So we have some goblins here. We have the trolls coming in to potentially make these guys pay the troll toll that they've been paying this entire game. And okay, I don't know how that happened, but Volkmar the Grim Grimgor just randomly broke. Rain Buster going down right there. Really nice cast by SladeX. Beautiful stuff. But I honestly don't know how Grimgor broke. Like, I just look away for a second and he just breaks. Like, he was healthy, he took a little bit of fire. I mean, Volkmar's nearby, but Grimgor is immune to psychology, so he shouldn't be breaking from a terror route, but I have no idea how that happened. Alas, poor Grimgor, just so terrible. But anyway, spears here are going to be holding 74 Brave Sons of Sigmar, holding off these trolls. The trolls do have a couple of chevrons. I think they had one before the battle started, so I don't think they've necessarily earned them, but the spears have been doing a great job this entire game, just screening these guys out, and Volkmar the Grim can just kind of sweep the back line and terror out pretty much anything that gets past the spear wall, which is very strong. And yeah, that's a fun style of play. Like, a lot of people like to use Karl Franz and Boris to snipe out the Greenskin Lords and things like that, but I really am a huge fan of the Volkmar play. I feel like Volkmar is really strong against Greenskins. The terror, the bonus for his infantry, the soulfire bombardments, the banishments. He has a lot of effects that are very, very punishing against their hordes, basically, right? So yeah, it was cool. I like the unbreakable front line with the follow-up of the spears and the handgunners. You don't see handgunners too much in this matchup, I suppose, because it's hard to protect them normally, but the way he built his army was very much like, just like a very defensive a spear wall with unbreakable troops. It was like designed to be defensive and just kind of counterpunch with Volkmar and nets to protect your back line and all that good stuff. And yeah, he did a really good job. I mean, it's hard. Slade has really good micro with his hordes of greenskins and the Night Goblin Squigs and 4 Spider Riders. That is a lot to kind of protect your back line from. And he did a pretty good job at the end of the day and was able to get those handgunners online to focus down Grimgor, to focus down the Orc Shaman, to focus down the Trolls. And ultimately, it did quite well. And for Slade's army, I mean, yeah, Hero of the People is always coming in with squigs and trolls and just tons of stuff. But Grimgor is just such a crutch. I mean, it's so hard to win with Grimgor against, equally skilled opponents for sure. But, he tried. Honestly, I have no idea how he broke there. Like, I looked for just a second. I was like, all right, let's see what Grimgor's doing. And he was just broke and running. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's really a disappointment for sure. I hope when and if the Greenskin update eventually comes, he can get some changes. Like, just make him monstrous like Throg or something like that. I don't know. Just give him something. He's just so haggard right now. But yeah, it was a really fun game. So very well played to the Skull Knight and Slade X. Thank you guys for sending in the replay. And guys, we'll be back with more content soon. Take care.